What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Today we have another reaction video. I'm gonna be reacting to probably one of my favorite game soundtracks of the recent memory. To be honest, though, very cinematic. I think it was. I'm gonna be reacting to Call of Duty, World War II soundtrack, the Brothers in Arms, song. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Also, just like the Halo soundtrack, um, the build up in anticipation for video game soundtracks is something that I think a lot of us composers need to learn. It's 2 minutes and 56, but it starts off like 38 seconds, and there's not a whole. It's very minimalistic. There's a lot of strings, a lot of like cymbals and stuff going off in the background, but I think it's painting a very dark image of what World War II was like. Um, Obviously, it's the main menu theme, so it's what you load in, and before you press play, I think a lot of games have, the soundtrack of this is impeccable in my opinion, but the main menu is what sets the foundation in video games. Before you press play, what you need, like through the music, you need to feel what the game is all about, and I think this it sets it paint like it sets it like probably 38 minutes is probably like having like the title card sequence, Sledgehammer, Activision, like all of this stuff, and then like as the screen loads in, then the music, like the backdrop begins. And the beginning of the motif, the do 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 do, like the battle, like the war is upon us. You know, uh, a brotherhood of heroes. Which is a theme that was especially applied in World War Two. Um, because kids went to war, so build up, build up, drop. It's a bit optimistic. A lot of it was quite dark, quite ambient. Then it's just gradual build up, and then it's a little bit like not hopeful, but it's a bit like we're going to war, but we're going to war with with brotherhood, with that theme running through, and I think the motif plays that really well. The strings, do do do, and then the do 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 do. It like as the percussion, like it's very, it's almost like a marching theme, like a marching in to the battlefield. So it's almost like a bit of like kind of like a staccato, like da 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 on the violin there, which has added like another layer. So if you was going to take us into a softer, you would copy and paste the motif over, but add in kind of like a new layer of violin. Just adding some depths into it. You know, the da 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 da, which is like I almost feel like a symbolic of like a heartbeat. You know, when you're running faster. Do 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 do. I think a lot of composers as well need to utilize this tactic. I'm speaking it for myself as well. I think the little kind of transition sound. So if we replay it now, the little like the little transition and going into kind of like the next part of this soundtrack. It's building up the like it's gradual, like it's like building up. And if you watch my other video, you can clearly see that obviously they recorded this in an actual like orchestra room. Like you know, they've actually got the budget to it. I mean, it's by Activision, right? So they got well, not any, but they've got money too, right? But how can we utilize this with bare minimum? And if you watch my other video, I explain that dynamics in this, and you can really sell the dynamics of real instruments versus like sample libraries or sample packs or you know downloading like Spitfire audio, which they're still fabulous, but it's lacking that authenticity. But how you can utilize that as a technique is dynamics, and I explained a lot in my previous video. But one thing in this is dynamics. Like the strings going and like the little ring on the top just gradually getting louder, and you can see like a real human was then going heavy on the violins. But the transitioning, like, I mean, this is a game. It's an epic game. It's a vast game. It's a campaign, right? It's a narrative driven piece. I remember playing this game and just captivated by the graphics, you know, and then obviously the score as well. And I wanted to come back and revisit this soundtrack over time, and I think it's like for Call of Duty, I think it's probably like one of the best soundtracks. Like it's really up there. Um, and you know, this game was released at a time where we had that futuristic run of Call of Duty. You know, the jetpacks, the slides, the flying up in the air, and I think Sledgehammer really brought like really took some of the audience feedback and really kept it grounded and realistic. And the soundtrack represents that. It's gritty, it's dark, but the transitioning in terms of like how like the epicness. Now in trailer soundtracks, in theme soundtracks in general, that's one thing you're gonna hear about. uh, You know what a lot of composers do in a sense of just the transition and the little fades out, the little fades in as well. I think that bit here is really interesting how it goes do 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 do. And then I think it leaves it open ended in the sense of like the soundtrack like leaves it like it's hopeful. It's like it's happy like we could come out victorious in this war. That obviously has hurted generations. And it was, you know, not humans' best day. But you know, keeping it to music, it's like the music plays out. The beginning is like dark, gritty, like in this like underground, like you know, in the trenches, and then it plays out to hopeful, and then it almost just like leaves cut off, and then it just reminds us this was one of the most dark days in the world for loads of reasons, and just how like the strings, like all the percussion, everything just slams out with the kind of da 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 da, like it just kind of cuts, like just cuts out, and then it like reminds us that it was a tragic, few years, and a lot of people died. A lot of people died. So we're playing the motif again. Yep. You talk about one of the most iconic soundtracks in Call of Duty, and I'll give you World War Two. And that one soundtrack, I think, really outlines that game and why that game was really good, and in my opinion, ahead of its time. Um, there's loads of other soundtracks within that soundtrack like album, and maybe one day we'll react to all of it because there's a lot of so cool techniques that's you and every time I want to go and listen to a soundtrack, I find myself listening to that along with like Halo or other game soundtracks. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. And let me know in the comments down below what you want me to react to, and I will react to it. Until next time, guys, take care. Bye bye.